37 minutes after 5 o'clock in Central Virginia, 5:37 on the clock on the wall. I'm Coy Barefoot. I hope you're doing well on this gray Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Charlottesville Right Now. Let's rejoin our conversation with Republican political blogger of note, Rick Sincere. He's online at ricksincere.com. So let's talk about this 5th District race. And I'm curious, tell us about, who's running and who you think. You said earlier, Republicans, when they go to the primaries on June 8th, they're going to be thinking one thing. Who among this list can beat Perriello? That's the focus here. And some others, I guess, will be thinking, no, I like Ken Boyd. I know him. I'm going to vote for him, for example. But most Republicans will be thinking strategically, as they do in primaries. So who do you think has the strongest possibility to actually beat incumbent Tom Perriello?
Well, let me say from the outset that I may not be that good a prognosticator, because if you had asked me 2 months ago, would there be 7 candidates on the ballot in the Republican primary in the 5th District, I would have said no, at least 3 or 4 of them will have dropped out by now. But all 7 of them got on the ballot, which really changes the calculus of the whole race. I mean, statistically, somebody can win this nomination with 15% of the vote. I think the winner will probably have 28% of the vote. I think the conventional wisdom is that Robert Hurt, the state senator from Chatham, is in the best position to both win the nomination and go on to beat Perriello in the fall. There are a lot of people in the Republican Party who are unhappy with Senator Hurt for some of his votes. I'll give the example of Feda Morton. She sent out an email just a few weeks ago criticizing him for voting for a piece of legislation that allows Virginia businesses to give life insurance benefits to their employees even if they're not married. I mean, basically, it's to allow them to give benefits to the spouses of employees in same-sex couples or other unconventional arrangements.
Which is standard for corporate America.
Right. It's standard for corporate America, and Virginia was the only state that prohibited that. She criticized Senator Hurt for voting for that bill. What she failed to note was that the bill passed unanimously both the House of Delegates and the state Senate, and it was signed into law by Governor McDonnell on April 7th. So the question is she having an issue with Governor McDonnell and the entire General Assembly? The slings and arrows that are being aimed at some of these candidates are a bit odd and sometimes off base.
Yeah.
I would say that almost any of these candidates could beat Tom Perriello in the fall simply because this is a strongly Republican district. As I mentioned, John McCain won the district in 2008. And Tom Perriello only won by about 722 votes. I remember very clearly because I was part of the recount procedure. And so the default position would be to vote Republican. I think there are a couple of candidates who are weak. I would say not just because of the article that was in the Hook yesterday, but because of other issues. I think Feda Morton is a weak candidate. She might have had a lot of endorsements by national organizations, but she wasn't raising a lot of money, hasn't been raising a lot of money locally. Another weak candidate is Ron Farron, who also has an extreme sort of social conservative position. I think besides Senator Hurt, the candidate I like best is Michael McPadden, who's from Albemarle County. He's an airline pilot, Armed Forces veteran. I think Lawrence Verga could do very well against Perriello when it comes to debates. He does not seem to be getting a lot of traction among Republican voters. I don't know why. I think he's an attractive candidate in many ways. Ken Boyd has proven himself to be a vote getter in a Democrat-leaning district, and he's been able to work across the aisle with Democrats as a member of the Board of Supervisors and previously as a school board member. And I think that perhaps Ken is a bit too soft-spoken for a congressional race, but I think he could beat Perriello too.
But that would not be a pretty debate. If Ken Boyd got the nomination and went to debate Perriello personally, I don't think it would be pretty for Republicans.
I think it
put
might
both of
be
those
difficult.
on television together, and it would not play in Ken Boyd's favor.
They're both very intelligent people with good experience. I think a lot of people are rather short-sighted in saying that somebody like Senator Hurt or Ken Boyd should get the nomination because they've been previously elected. Let's remember, Tom Perriello never ran for public office before he was first elected, and he's in Congress today.
We're talking with Republican political blogger Rick Sincere. The phone lines are open, 977-1070. Right-leaning district, a Republican district, the 5th district, the big elections in November, the primaries June 8th, just coming up a few days away. Your perspective on why Perriello might be difficult to beat?
Tom Perriello has learned the lessons about constituent services. Last August, he held more town hall meetings on health care and other issues than any other member of Congress in the country. I think he had 21 town hall meetings over a period of about 30 days. And he at least gave the appearance of listening to constituents on these issues, even though he went ahead and voted against their interests on the health care bill when it came to a vote in Congress in March. He at least let people have their say. And he's willing to meet with voters. He does great constituent services, as I mentioned. He's a very formidable, smart opponent, and it's not going to be a walk in the park for whichever Republican gets the nomination this fall, on June 8th. It's going to be a long, hard campaign. And I was talking to a Republican analyst the other day who said that the Republican Party has targeted 12 races where they're trying to beat an incumbent Democrat. 2 of those races are in Virginia. One of them is Tom Perriello's district here and Glenn Nye's district in the 2nd. And he said they're confident of winning 10 of those 12 races. They don't know which 10 they're going to win.
That's great. But they know they got 10 to win. In the 2nd district, very, very interesting, and there might be a lesson there for the 5th. 2nd district, of course, down at Virginia Beach. Scott Ridgell will likely get the nomination, has been endorsed by Governor Bob McDonnell and all the top Republicans. And yet Kenny Golden pulled out of that primary race and is running as an independent, has been endorsed by Virgil Goode. And it's very, very interesting. The question will be to what extent Kenny Golden might split the conservative ticket. Will we see something like that in the 5th district, you think?
I certainly hope not, because I think the result of Kenny Golden being in the race in the 2nd district is that Glenn Nye will be reelected. Now, Nye has been a different kind of congressman than Tom Perriello. Glenn Nye ran as sort of a liberal Democrat, even though he's a veteran. But he voted with the Republicans on health care. He voted with the Republicans on cap and trade. I'm not sure what his vote was on the stimulus package, but he has been fitting himself to his district more effectively than Tom Perriello has been doing. And I think that's going to have an impact in the race in the fall. And if Kenny Golden is still in there and gets 3 or 4% of the vote, that may mean that Glenn Nye is reelected. And with the census coming up and redistricting, that pretty much means he'll be in office for as long as he wants to be.
But doubtful we'll see something like that in the 5th.
I don't think so. I've heard rumors of a candidate who says that he will be an independent candidate only if Robert Hurt gets the Republican nomination. I don't know whether he'll follow through on that. And I think it would be a mistake if he did. Look how narrow the victory of Tom Perriello was in 2008. And I don't think the Republicans want to go through that again.
Does the narrow victory for Perriello say something about the 5th district? Is the 5th district getting a little purple?
No, I think it says something about Barack Obama. The 2008 election was an outlier because the presidential ticket headed by Barack Obama brought in a lot of new voters, African-American voters, young voters, student voters, who will not show up to vote in November 2010 because they don't have that kind of motivation that they had 2 years ago.
Rick Sincere, he's online at ricksincere.com, Republican political blogger. Check him out. Rick, thank you so much for being here. We're going to have you back again really soon.
I'd love to be here. It was really enjoyable to be here today.
Absolutely. We'll take a quick break, get a Market Watch update.